guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are here for Season 7 Hands of Time Retrospect Review. The first episode of the season premiere is episode 65, Hands of Time. I thought this episode was pretty cool, and it was a well done season premiere. Usually in most season premieres, the villain just kind of appears out of nowhere, and there isn't usually a solid reason, but there was actually a real reason why Acronics returned at that very moment. In past seasons, such as Season 6 and especially Season 5, the villain just kind of appears out of nowhere, and it's a little less believable. Now, the fight was really cool. I love the fight between Wu and Acronics. Of course, there was 40 years. That fight had been put off for 40 years. So, of course, there was a lot of drama when it came to the actual fight. I really loved how it transitioned from Wu versus Acronics to the ninja versus Acronics and meeting this new enemy for the first time. And the monastery got burned down again, sadly. Next episode, the hatching was, quite frankly, forgettable. It was interesting to see Crux revealed as Dr. Saunders. I definitely wouldn't have expected that, but I think the Vermilion Warriors, this was the episode where we got to see them first, and the fight between the Vermilion Warrior and the ninja was kind of boring, actually. I didn't really like the whole dice roll and how they just decided to pick them off one at a time, and I found it slow and quite boring. Now, Time of Traders was a better episode, and I liked how Kai actually would face off against Crux, and Nia came to fight, and Acronics also came, so that I really liked the working together of both Crux and Acronics and Kai and Nia. And we would see that much more later on in the season. Episode 68, Scavengers, was quite forgettable and quite boring. I did not really like that episode at all. Pretty much, Lloyd struggles to gain control over the team, and the way that they try to emphasize Lloyd's struggle over the team is by making the ninja actually seem like immature little brats. They don't try to make Lloyd seem like he's having a problem, they make the ninja seem like jerks. And I think that is a big problem and a big misstep for the Master Lloyd arc. Episode 69, A Line in the Sand, isn't much better either, and is pretty much just the Vermilion driving on a Ferris wheel or whatever, some Mega Monster amusement park thing, through the desert, and being so incompetent that they actually lose the Time Blade. And I hate Blunk and Ragbug, so I'll talk about them later. Episode 70, The Attack, was a pretty good episode, actually. I liked the whole siege aspect of the Time Twins laying siege to the Temple of Erujitsu. Was it a filler episode? Yeah, it was pretty much a filler episode. They turned this into a whole episode out of it, actually, but I didn't think it was bad at all. Episode 71, Secrets Discovered, is kind of slower, but this is where the plot really starts to unfold. Episode 72, Positive Effect, is really good, and I especially love the Kai versus Rei fight, that first interaction. Kai believes that his father is a traitor, and all this evidence that he's been collecting leads him to believe that Rei is a traitor. And I think that is, he really unleashes all of his anger at Rei, and he believes his own parent is a traitor. And that is really emotional when it came down to that fight. Because Rei has no idea what's going on, and eventually discovers this mysterious person is actually his own son. The reunion between the family is really heartwarming and very emotional, but it is short-lived as the ninja do get blackmailed by Crux and Acronics. Now, Out of the Fire and Into the Boiling Sea, episode 73, fun fact, that is the longest Ninjago episode name to date, is also a pretty interesting episode. I didn't care for the ninja trying to stop the Iron Doom all that much, but I did like the Kai and Nia aspect of it, and them trying to get the reversal blade. The Library of Hanamizu and the Boiling Sea is a very interesting setting, and I love the underwater volcano. It is the perfect setting that describes fire and water combined, and I really loved how it was like the first Ninjutsu Master's Tomb, but different in a way as well. Now, Lost in Time, I don't know where to start. This episode is really amazing, and it's so much better than the rest of the season, honestly. So what I loved about it was time travel, of course. That was a key plot point of the entire season, and it was heavily emphasized in this episode, of course. And I really loved it. I loved how the ninja were traveling to a point in time which was built up throughout the season as a really important battle in Ninjago history. It was very fun to see young Garmnan and young Wu, and of course Jay's mother as well, in action, and I thought that was very cool. Now, of course, the final fight between the Time Twins and the ninja and Wu aboard the Iron Doom, there is just one word to describe this fight: epic. I loved this fight. The soundtrack was fabulous, and it just fit the scene perfectly. Even though it was from Season 4, I felt that the soundtrack really did fit the scene quite perfectly. And I loved it. I loved this scene. Wu eventually realizes that the fight isn't going to stop, so he sacrifices himself to stay aboard the Iron Doom to deal with those two. And I think that final scene of the Iron Doom just tumbling aboard, leaving their fate, leaving the Time Twins' fate open-ended, was a pretty genius move, honestly. A lot of people complain about the Time Twins not having a conclusion, but I think not giving them the conclusion in Season 7, and having Wu also lost in time along with them, was a genius move. I really do think that. And here's why. This kind of allows for speculation on our part, and we get to decide what exactly did happen with the Time Twins. We can interpret it any way we want. Maybe they've been dumbed down in the future. Maybe they're dead. Maybe they're lost in time. I like this mystery aspect of it. Of course, we do know what happens to Wu later on, but the Time Twins' fate is still open-ended as of now. Now, that is all of the episodes. Now, talking about the Ray and Maya story, I think this was really cool, considering since the pilots, we had not known anything about Ray and Maya. They were presumably dead, but of course, in Season 6, we did kind of get some foreshadowing, and Dave the Departed, that Ray and Maya would be emphasized, because we did see Kai meet his father in the past with Natakan, and all of that foreshadowing is kind of leading up to this. And it was very cool to actually learn what happened to Ray and Maya. They are very interesting characters, and I really love Ray and Maya, and I would like to see them return in the future. The Kai and Nia focus. Kai has been focused on a lot in this series, and that kind of is a problem. It's a little bit too much. But I think what was different about this was this season was a joint focus between both of them. And it emphasized the focus it emphasized the teamwork between these two focus characters. And I think that was really well done. But it was at the expense of other characters' development. Some other characters didn't really get as much as they deserved. Kai and Nia got the full spotlight, but some of the other characters were put off to the side and involved in boring subplots. Now moving on to Crux and the Chronics, they are interesting villains. They are my least favorite villains of Ninjago, but I think they were pretty cool. I like their voice acting and all, but I think I like Acronix more. Acronix is more funny, and he likes technology, and I think that is a really funny modern adaptation of this. But at the same time, he is menacing and serious as well, and I think that balance is perfect for his character. Crux, on the other hand, is a little bit more boring. Crux is just some cranky old man, kind of, and his voice acting is a little bit Captain Obvious, if you know what I mean. But Crux I still like as well, but I think I like Acronix more out of the two. Their backstory was definitely something that I didn't really like. They just thought they were superior, so they got to take over Ninjago. Didn't really like that explanation at all. The Samurai X story was something that would later be finished in Season 8, and I think that was done really well. I like that Pixel actually did have a role, and later we do know that Pixel is Samurai X, but we didn't know that yet in this season. And I think Samurai X, just setting that up a little bit, but not doing much with it, was done really well in this season, and it ultimately led to a great conclusion in Season 8. Wu's story was amazing in this season, and I think this was probably his biggest role in the series yet. I really loved Wu's story, how he at first is in the action, but then is out of commission for most of the season, but later on he is back into the fight, fighting Crux and Acronix, and actually sacrificing himself for the ninja. And this set up a great story that would later be continued throughout Season 8, and concluded in Season 9. Now, Master Lloyd. Master Lloyd was something that was established in Season 5, but nothing had really been done with it since. This season built on Master Lloyd, but I do have some problems with Master Lloyd. As I expressed before, the Master Lloyd arc was kind of Lloyd's struggle to gain control over his teammates was done by making the other ninjas seem like jerks, rather than making Lloyd seem like he was losing control. And I think that was definitely a problem. It could have been done much better. Oh yeah, Lloyd was also a big problem I had with the season. I don't think it was the writing that was a problem, but I just didn't find Lloyd's voice acting to be good in this season at all. Just the line delivery, not the actual lines, but just the way that the delivery was done itself. No hate to Jillian Michaels or anything, but I think the voice acting certainly could have been done better. The Vermilion were interesting, but it was kind of repetitive to see snakes yet again. But I did like the Great Devourer offspring idea and the Samurai Snake reforming. I thought that was pretty cool, but again, pretty repetitive. Now, the ending of Hands of Time. This was genius. I really love the ending of Hands of Time because it set up the next season perfectly. A lot of people expected the next season to be a conclusion to this, but it actually wasn't. Santa Barbara totally steered away from the Time Twins, and whether this is good or bad, that is up to you. I could have gone with anything personally, but I do like the Hands of Time's fate being open-ended, but at the same time, I could have seen it been concluded as well. The Temple of Air Jitsu was a really interesting base, and I liked the ninja actually settling in the Temple of Air Jitsu. It was really cool how it was in the sky, so kind of like the Destiny's Bounty, but it wasn't mobile. And, of course, we all love the Temple of Air Jitsu. It just looks beautiful. The Fusion Dragon was interesting as well. We had kind of seen Fusion Dragons in Season 6. This one was a little bit more formal with the actual Dragon Blade. And I really liked the design and how Kai and Neo would have to work together in order to summon the Fusion Dragon. Vehicles used in this season were also quite good, with the Ultra Stealth Raider it is, returning for this season. And Destiny's Shadow, I also like that as well. It's a really interesting vehicle. And yeah. Now, moving on to the character of Makia. Makia is a really cool character, kind of taking the general role of sorts, and I think Makia is very fierce and very intimidating as well. However, Blank and Ragmuk are my second to worst characters of the series. These guys are comic relief characters, obviously. The problem is they're put in a place of power. They are commanders of the Vermilion Army, but yet they're total idiots. And I think that is a big problem. That was done really wrong. The Time Blades were interesting, and I like the idea of, it was like the staff of elements, excuse me, but different since these are actually like combat weapons. And I think the idea of the Time Blades and the emphasis on time travel was good as well. However, I did not like the constant splitting up that did occur throughout the season. It was always Kai and Nia in one team, and the other four ninja in the other team. And I think that was pretty bad. And that was actually the way it was for the last 4 episodes of the season. And I didn't really like that because I often did not care about the ninja trying to disable the Iron Doom. Animation was also something that suffered throughout the season. And, most of the time in this season, the animation looked like that of a Lego set animation. But this isn't a huge problem I have with that. The sets are pretty good for this season. I did like the Dawn of Iron Doom and the Samurai VXL, and there were some smaller sets in this wave, but I think they were done pretty well as well. Now, the final rating, I think this season was not that good at all. It is my least favorite season of Ninjago. Of course, Day of the Departed is worse, but this probably is my least favorite season of Ninjago, and I would probably have to give this season maybe a 6 or 6.5 out of 10. It really could have done better. I feel like the writing suffered at points, and some of the episodes were very, very boring. But I did like some of the stuff that this season set up. This season did essentially set up Season 8 and Season 9, especially with Wu's story, and the Samurai X story as well. So that is all for this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, share with anyone ever you know. Leave your thoughts about Season 7 in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.